My LinkedIn reach dropped by 50% last year. I was furious, so I stopped creating new content and somehow my reach doubled. Yep, for an entire month I posted zero net new content because I wanted to see whether that would impact my reach or not. And it did, just not in the way I had expected it to. In the next minutes, I'll walk you through my month-long experiment, the results that really surprised me, and how you can apply this to your own LinkedIn strategy so that you can meet your business goals without selling your soul to social media dark lords. I'm Adriana Tika. I'm a strategist who works with solopreneurs to help them make FU money without the sleaze, the hustle, and the bro marketing. By the end of this video, you'll know how to grow a relevant audience who's ready to buy from you on LinkedIn without spending ages in there. And if you want to grow an audience across platforms, I have a free resource that will teach you how to do exactly that. It's called Audience Accelerator, and it will walk you through everything you need to know from positioning to what to post on social media and off social media. The link is in the description. Now, if you've spent any time at all on LinkedIn these days, you've probably seen people complain that organic reach has massively tanked recently. This affects both small and big accounts. For me, the post that used to get like 1,000 views very easily started to get 300 at the end of December 2025. So in January, I opened my dashboard and the numbers looked abysmal. I stared at it in disbelief. My reach was almost 50% down year over year. Now, I'm not one to dwell on vanity metrics, but this was important to me because my other metrics had been down too. I mostly use LinkedIn to build genuine connections and relationships. Those aren't shown in the analytics and they still work, but also to send people to my newsletter, Strategic AF. In the first 2 years since I started doing that, LinkedIn was my best source for engaged subscribers that turned into clients, friends, or both. But that started to slowly decay along with the crappy reach. So logically, I didn't want to put in as much time on the platform as I did before. Since I already had a pretty extensive content library, it was fairly easy for me to stop creating net new content. Here's what I did. I announced the hashtag AlgorithmDivorceChallenge, where for 30 days straight, I wouldn't spend any time creating content that's specific to LinkedIn. Yes, I would still post every day, but I was done thinking what LinkedIn might actually push in front of my audience. By that time, I already had almost 14,000 followers on the platform. When I made the announcement, funnily enough, that specific post was one of my best performing ones in months. This goes to show you that people are fed up with trying to massage social media algorithms. They started following the challenge hashtag to see the results because they wanted to replicate my challenge if it paid off. So here's exactly what I did every single day for 30 days in my own little rebellion against social media algorithm. All of my content came from my newsletter, the council, the membership I run, my offers, podcasts, and interviews I had been on. This was my way of signing the divorce from the algorithm papers. In practice, this looked like this. At least two of my posts every week came from my newsletter. One was sent to tease out the upcoming edition one day before I send it so that people can subscribe to read it. The second one came 3 days after the newsletter was sent, and it was a summary of it plus a link to read the whole thing in blog format. I know, LinkedIn hates links, but LinkedIn seems to hate everything these days. One weekly post came from me pitching a product or a service that I sell. I already have a doc of 3 to 5 social media posts for each of my offers, so this was a simple copy-paste job. For the rest of the week and the 4 remaining posts, I would either recycle a previous LinkedIn post, again, a simple copy-paste job. I purposefully made no alterations to it because we were testing things here, remember? I only used evergreen previously published posts during that month. I could also link to a podcast I had been a guest on, or I could reuse a post that summarized an older newsletter edition. All in all, I never spent more than 5 minutes on each LinkedIn post that month. Sometimes even less, think like 20 seconds for copy pasting something and hitting post. So, how did it go? First off, let me say this. It was damn liberating. Everything I did was summarize a newsletter issue or open a doc, a spreadsheet, or my past LinkedIn posts to choose something to publish. fun. Now let's talk about how this approach affected my reach. My working hypothesis was that since LinkedIn is entering the final enshittification stage, my reach would stay roughly the same no matter what I posted. Well, that hypothesis was invalidated, or so it seems. After 30 days of posting no net new content, my reach actually grew by a whooping 116.5%. More interestingly, the number of LinkedIn accounts I reached during my experiment grew even more by 205%. Not bad, huh? But numbers don't always tell the truth, so here's how these numbers are lying. The seemingly impressive growth is a false positive because most of the reach came from funny posts or unsubstantial memes I occasionally post. During the experiment, I reused my best performing ones, like this one of Elon Musk talking shit about LinkedIn. And since everyone loves to talk shit about Elon Musk, it was the perfect combination. Some of that reach trickled down to more serious posts, which helped me deplatform LinkedIn followers and move them to my email list. But for the most part, it was the funny shit that did well. Again, because social media loves predictability. If something does well once, it will do well again. LinkedIn announced that its algorithm is run by AI, and since AI is nothing more than a probability machine that, in this case, calculates the probability of a post being loved by people, well, you can do the math. I gave AI what it wanted, a way to easily predict the success of a post. But I didn't spend the entire month posting memes. I want to talk about this a bit more because it's something that most people get wrong. High reach doesn't mean high quality audience. It means high probability content. The posts that blew up during this experiment were the easiest for the algorithm to understand and distribute. Memes, punchy takes, familiar formats, all of these signaled low friction but high predictability. This creates a distorted feedback loop. You start thinking, yeah, this is what works, so you do more of it. Your reach goes up, your business, well, not necessarily because the algorithm optimizes for engagement, not for relevance, trust, or buying intent. So if you're using reach as your main signal, you're training yourself in the wrong direction. The strategic takeaway is fairly simple. Separate distribution from conversion. Use predictable, repeatable formats to get seen. And then use your deeper content, your offers, and your ecosystem to actually make money. Otherwise, you'll end up with a lot of attention and very little to show for it. Still, a few good things, true positive, also came out of this challenge of mine. First, the constraint that I self imposed to not post anything new forced me to speak about what I sell more often, which generated more revenue directly from LinkedIn attention. Also, I time block my use of social media for business, and it's usually around 1 hour per day. For the month of the challenge, since I spent less time creating content, I had more time to engage with other people's posts, which generated an above average audience growth for me. Better yet, the new people were extremely relevant to me because they chose to follow me after reading my comments on someone else's content. Finally, during this month, I jotted down the social media post ideas I couldn't use, which resulted in content I could use in the future and thus more time saved. All that being said, was it actually worth it? You know what? Yes, it definitely was. I won't do it again for a full month, but even after the challenge was over, I found myself posting more and more repurposed or simply reused content. More importantly, I kept talking about what I sell more often with variation. I don't always post something that ends in buy this, but I do speak about my client work, the counsel, my community, my results, and so on more often. Should you do it? Should you try this experiment? Yes. If you're sitting on a pile of content and still treating every post like it needs to be brand new, you're wasting your time. The biggest shift for me wasn't reach. That's meaningless if you're not trying to be an influencer. It was leverage. I stopped treating LinkedIn like the place where I need to constantly prove I have new ideas and started using it as a distribution channel for ideas that already work. And once I did that, something else happened. I talked about what I sell more often, not in a forced way, just by pulling from things that already connected to my offers. That alone drove more revenue than trying to outsmart the algorithm ever did. But even when LinkedIn was working well for me, it was never the main driver of revenue. My newsletter, Strategic AF, was that. If you walk away with a single idea from this video, let it be this one. Social media creates visibility. Owned channels create leverage. So the real play here isn't post less or post more. It's this one. Build once, distribute many, many times. Move people somewhere you actually control. Social media platforms rise and fall. In the beginning, they're always good to the creators and users to attract more of them. Then they take away your reach, and if your business depends on it, well, it's going to suck. Find a platform that's not dependent on the moods of algorithms you can't control, like email marketing, and invest most of your time, energy, and budget there. And lastly, I know that you need to post more often than you'd like, and that sometimes you can't find the inspiration to create new content. So instead of forcing it and posting mediocre stuff, it's always better to reuse something that worked in the past. Remember what I said earlier? Most social media algorithms run on AI these days, and AI loves making predictions. If it already knows that a post of yours did well, it means that it has a chance to do well again. Curious how you can increase your social media and off social media audience without spending ages engaging with mediocre content or churning out dozens of posts every week? Find the link below to download Audience Accelerator, my guide on relevant audience building without the hustle. Before you go, don't forget to hit subscribe if you want more videos on growing your solo business without selling your soul or running yourself into an early grave.